With one consultancy as a solo developer, I went from $258 in my bank account to over $6 million in revenue in a single year. And the best part? I had almost no competition doing this because every other developer was too busy building a SaaS that 99% of the time ended up failing. And that still applies today, which is exactly why if you are a developer, you need to start with this consultancy model that I will be talking about in the rest of the video before you get laid off. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to build a software consultancy as a software engineer, where you take the exact same skills that you currently have and you sell them straight to the businesses that are desperate for them. And we're gonna break this down step by step such that it's really simple so you can replicate these steps starting today. And if you look inside Code to CEO, my startup accelerator, you will see a ton of developers who have already done this themselves. Just like Demir from the Bay Area, who managed to land a $50,000 contract because the model is so simple. Every company out there has a problem that needs to be solved. That solution is hiding behind an automation, a dashboard, an internal tool, an AI workflow, some other type of software. They just don't have anybody in-house who can actually build it for them. And that's where you come in. You get a few of them to pay you to build it, you deliver, and you do it again, and then you productize it. So let's jump straight into the video and I'll show you exactly how it's done step by step. Okay, step number one, and this is the one that almost every single developer gets wrong. Before you build anything, before you write a single line of code, you have to pick a problem, not a tech stack, not a niche, a problem, a very specific, expensive problem that businesses already feel. And most software engineers do this completely backwards. They pick a tool or a shiny AI framework they want to play with, and then they go hunting for somebody to sell it to in a very particular niche. But that's your SaaS brain talking. It's the exact thing that fails 99% of the time for software engineers. The consultancy works the other way around. You start with a problem that's already costing existing companies money or time. So it can be hours wasted on manual data entry. It could be something like reports that take these companies 3 days to pull. It could be something along the lines of customers churning because nobody follows up with them in time. You pick one painful, expensive problem and you go and solve it, but not with a SaaS, but rather as a service first to validate it before you commit to a SaaS. And here's a part that most people completely fundamentally miss. The same problem that you pick will most likely show up across completely different industries. A dental clinic, a law firm, and a freight company look nothing alike, but all three will be bleeding money on the same exact broken, let's say, intake process. So when you solve that one particular problem once, you don't only have one customer. You have a multitude of customers because you have a solution that you can carry into every other industry that has that particular problem. So that is really the whole edge that you gain from this consultancy model. You can build the fix once and it gets sharper and faster every single time you sell it, no matter who you're selling it to, be it a law firm, be it a freight company. And you're not just a developer for a dentist, for example. You're now the person who kills this specific expensive problem, and that problem could be everywhere. So the question isn't, okay, what can I build? And it isn't even necessarily, oh, who do I build it for? It's more about what expensive problem do businesses already have that I can go ahead and solve and continuously solve again. So let me show you how to actually find this exact problem that I'm talking about. First, you do not just search up a problem online. You do not ask AI to hand you profitable problem. That is not how any of this works. And I want you to think about this critically. If you found the problem through asking ChatGPT or Claude, so did 10,000 other people that asked the same exact question. What makes you different from them? Nothing. You are already a commodity and you haven't even started. The problem you pick has to be built on your unique advantage. The thing that you have that the other 10,000 developers don't. And your unique advantage lives at the intersection of three particular things. One, your network. Who do you already know? Who's in your circle? Who trusts you? Who answers your calls? What world do you already have access to that another person might not? A warm door is worth 1,000 cold ones. 2, your location. Where are you? What's physically around you that an anonymous developer from halfway across the world can now walk into? Maybe the dental practice in your city, maybe the trucking companies in your area, the business owners at your local chamber of commerce. Proximity is an advantage that almost nobody actually uses properly. And number 3, your expertise. What do you actually understand better than most? The industry maybe you used to work in, the systems you already know, the problems that you've personally lived through and could fix in your sleep better than 99% of other developers out there. Now take a look and see where those 3 overlap. That center where your network, your location, and your expertise all meet, that is your unfair advantage. And that is the exact spot where you can win and almost nobody else on earth can follow you in. Now, for me, it was pretty simple. I was a software engineering manager at Fortune 500, a consulting company. So I knew software and consulting. I was plugged into a community of local business owners that were printing money down here in LA. And I was sitting in a city full of companies running on Asian systems with extreme hyper competition. So the center of those 3 wasn't a guess for me. It was pretty obvious the second I drew the circles myself and I filled out what I had access to me down here in LA through my network and through my experience. So before you look for a single problem, draw your 3 circles. Find that center. If you do this right, you won't just come back with one problem. You're most likely going to come back with at least 4 or 5 different problems, all sitting inside your unfair advantage. And that's a good kind of problem to have when you have to choose between 4 or 5 problems. But obviously you can't build all of them at once. You can't try to solve all of them at once. Your focus is going to be split. So you have to bet on one first. And the question becomes, okay, Bigo, which one of these do I actually build my whole business around? And that's a different decision entirely. So here's how you're going to be able to make it. You've got a short list of real problems all inside your unique advantage. Now you need to narrow it down to the one that is worth building everything around. So you need to run each one of the problems on your list through 4 questions. And the winner is going to be the problem that answers all 4 questions the loudest. Question number 1, which one's the most expensive? Of the problems in your list, which problem is bleeding the most money? Be it lost revenue, wasted salary hours, missed customers. The bigger the dollar figure on that pain point, the bigger the check that you can write yourself for the fix. Question number 2, which one is the most recurring? Some problems you solved once and is pretty much over and done with. Other problems come back every week, every month, forever. Pick the one that keeps showing up consistently, because that's what's going to help turn a one-time project into a retainer that pays you for years to come. Question number 3, which one is the most common? A problem that one very specific weird company has is going to be a favor for them. But a problem that hundreds of companies have is going to be leverage for you. Pick the one that you can solve once and then sell again and again and again, down the entire row of businesses that all have that problem. Question number 4, which one can only you solve? This is the tiebreaker. Of everything on your list, which problem sits deepest in the center of your 3 circles? Where your network opens up the correct door, your location gets you in the room, and your expertise means that you solve it better than pretty much anybody else that they could find. That overlap is the one to bet on. So score your shortlist against these 4 questions, and the winner is not going to be a guess, it's going to be pretty damn obvious. And here's why this matters more than anything else in this particular video that we've talked about thus far. When you start from a problem this specific, the entire game of business completely changes. The selling gets way easier, the pricing gets bigger, the delivery gets faster, and your customers are happier. Let me show you what I mean by this. Starting with the parts that every single developer is secretly afraid of. Selling. Most developers, when they try to sell, they say something like, oh, I do web development, or I can build apps, or I can do this, I can do that. But that's a complete disaster when it comes to actually selling. Because now all you're really doing is you're making yourself a commodity, competing with every single freelancer and a guy on Fiverr that's probably charging $15 an hour. So when you start from a problem, your offer already says it itself. You don't sell development, you sell the outcome to that problem. Not I build software, but rather I help a very specific type of business stop a very specific type of problem. So stop losing leads by building an automated system that responds to every single inquiry in under a minute. Do you see the difference in that? A very hyper-specific thing. One is a skill on a resume. The other is a result that they want. And you want to give this a name. Productize it. Make it a thing. Not just the vague service you offer. Because the second that your offer is a specific solution to a very specific expensive problem, you stop sounding like a developer for hire that they can get on Upwork or Fiverr. And you start sounding like an actual answer to the exact thing that's keeping most of these business owners up at night. And that completely rewrites what you're actually allowed to charge. And charging is why developers leave the most amount of money on the table by a mile. We are trained to think in hours. It will take me 20 hours, so I'm gonna charge for these 20 hours and my time is $100 an hour. I need you to stop doing that immediately. When you charge by the hour, you get punished for actually being good. The faster you solve that problem, the less money you are going to make. And if you think about it logically, that's insane. It doesn't make sense. So you don't want to price your time. You want to price the problem. Go back to that expensive problem from step 1 that we just found and put an actual number on it. Say your broken intake process is quietly costing your company $40,000 a year in lost leads. If you fix that problem, you're not just a developer who, let's say, spent 30 hours in fixing that problem. You're the exact person who just handed that company an extra $40,000 a year, every year moving forward. So charging $10,000 for that doesn't seem expensive. It's actually a steal. And they will feel that it's a steal because you anchored the whole conversation to their money and not your time. So this is the entire reason the consultancy model beats the job, it beats the freelance grad, and it honestly beats most SaaS. A SaaS that charges, let's say, $30 a month and prays for volume is not going to compete on a type of consultancy where you solve one expensive problem and charge what it's actually worth. Now you've got an offer and the price. Now it's time to put it all in front of someone. And here's the part that, once again, most developers tend to overcomplicate. You do not need a website. You do not need a logo, at least not yet. You do not need a company name or a business name or an LLC or cards or a fancy funnel or any of this stuff. All you need is one conversation with one business owner that has that exact problem that you're solving. You want to start with the warmest circle you have available to you. So people who already know you, friends, family, the business owner that you met at a Chamber of Commerce event, the acquaintance who maybe runs a company and constantly complains to you about that exact thing that you now know how to solve. And your message is going to be simple to them. And remember, it's about them and not you. So something as simple as, hey Alex, I've been helping this particular type of business fix this particular type of problem, and I noticed you might be dealing with that too. Is it worth a quick chat? That's it. You don't have a pitch deck. There's no paragraph talking about your skills. Because you are not asking for a job. You are offering to delete a problem that they already hate and they want solved. And when that problem is specific and expensive and painful enough, this is going to be a pretty much a one-call close. You're not going to negotiate a rate. You're going to confirm that they want that problem solved, that they want that pain gone, and you're just going to go out and close that. And the reason this works, there's barely any competition in this, is because of the thing that I said at the very start. Every other engineer is too busy hiding behind the screen building a product that nobody asked for. You're going to be the only one talking to businesses about what they'll pay for today. And I guarantee if you join your Chamber of Commerce or you join your P&I chapter, you're going to be the only developer there. Okay, let's say you landed the client. Here's how you make sure that this does not just turn into a worse version of your old job. The trap is treating every single project like it's brand new. That's how you're going to end up working 90 hours a week for one client. That's a job with extra steps. You don't want that. The move is to actually build the solution one time and turn it into a system. The first time that you solve the problem, you're building. The second time, you're sort of like assembling. And the third time, you are basically copy and pasting now. Every single template that you have, every single script that you've sent, every single workflow that you've helped save becomes an asset that makes the next delivery much faster, much smoother, and much more profitable compared to the previous one. And this is where AI actually becomes your unfair advantage, not your replacement. You use it to move faster on the parts that used to take days. A solo developer with AI and a proven solution can out-deliver an entire agency. And that's really the compounding effect. You have the same exact problem, same exact solution, less time each round, and more margin each round. Now let me tell you why the timing on this is not optional. Last year, over 177,000 tech workers were laid off, and more than half of this year's cuts named AI as the main reason. The thing that you do all day is the exact thing that people are trying to automate you out of. But here's what they cannot fundamentally ever automate. The person who understands a business's problem, talks to a human being on the other side of it, and builds the solution they can never automate. That's what this exact consultancy model turns you into. Something that can never be replaced. And it is the single biggest advantage that you have right now as a software engineer that nobody else is pretty much using. You started while you still had the job. You started while you still are getting a paycheck, where your salary is still covering your rent and your other living expenses, while there is still zero pressure to get that first client, while you can still afford to learn the sales part badly before you have to do it well. That safety that you have is the unfair advantage, so why not use it? The developers who walk away fine from a layoff are never the best coders in the room. They're usually the ones who actually already had something on the side when that email first came. So don't wait until you need to do this. Build it while you don't. So let's recap the whole thing so you have a proper understanding. Pick a very expensive problem that you can solve and not a niche. Run it through the filter, package it as an outcome, not a skill, price the problem, not your time, land one warm conversation with somebody, and once you close it, deliver it as a system that actually compounds time and time again. And that's what software consultancy is. That's the business that I started as a developer in the market over anything else right now if I had to start over again. But the most important caveat here is I would make sure that it is in line with my unique advantage. At the very least, it's located in the location that I'm living in, it's comprised of the people that I know, and it's a problem that I have experience in. And it's the one thing that I want running before any layoff email could ever reach me. And if you want the exact system that we use to do this, including how the founders inside Code to CEO are landing contracts like Vermeer's $50,000 deal, then I want you to send in your application to Code to CEO. The link in the description below. It's completely for free, takes you about 5 minutes to do, and if you accept it, then we'll hop on a call and talk. As always, thank you so much for watching this video and have a good rest of your day.